Good afternoon. Welcome everyone to our weekly webinar. Happy as always to have you here. Our usual reminders, if you would please mute so that we don't have any background noise conflicting with our conversation today. We are recording and the video will be available later this afternoon for future rewatching. And if you have questions or comments or anything you'd like to share in the chat, feel free to use that and I will monitor that as we have our program today. I'm so glad to see folks joining us, and as we know, they will likely continue to join us while we're together today, and we're happy to have you for whatever time you are able to be with us today. So I am always happy to introduce our speaker, but today I am extra wowed to introduce our speaker. And I say wow because our speaker for the day is my wow mom, Mrs. Peggy Grace Loeb. She was born and raised in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and moved to Los Angeles as a teenager, returned to Louisiana to attend Dillard University, went to Michigan to accompany my father, who is also with us today, where my father attended the University of Michigan Medical School. And then they returned to Los Angeles because the world needed me to be born there, apparently. But this is about her, not me. And she's going to tell you more about her life story. She does have a Bachelor of Science in Nursing from Dillard University and a master's degree in nursing, Master of Science in Nursing from California State University, Dominguez Hills, with a specification in nurse education. Prior to my entering the world, she worked for the Veterans Administration hospitals in both Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Los Angeles, California, and then switched to working for the Los Angeles, California Unified School District, where she stayed for 37 years, finishing her career as a registered nurse and a nurse educator. And I'll just throw in her nursing role did include some time teaching kids about hand cleaning and wearing a Scrubby Bear costume. So this nurse has done a lot, and she is here as part of National Caregiver Awareness Month. We all know, of course, that caregiving is something that happens 24/7, 365, 366. But in November, we focus on caregivers for lots of reasons. It's a time when lots of us get to see our families because of the Thanksgiving holiday in particular. Just last week, we recognized veterans and the folks who care for them because veterans care for us when they give their time in their service. And so November is a time we especially look at caregivers and say, thank you for the job that you do. In most cases, you didn't sign up for it. It wasn't something you particularly set out to do, but you do it anyway, and we're grateful. And so today we will talk with my mom. I'm going to just call her mom throughout the program. Her name is Peggy Grace, after my grandmother, who was Grace. But we'll talk with my mom about her role as a nurse professionally, as a caregiver personally for her mother, my grandmother, and for a very dear friend of hers currently. And so I'm going to I have another screen to share that's special to me and to my mom. So I'm going to put that up for a moment so that you can see who we're talking about. So picture at the top left is my grandmother on the left with the black and white stripes, and my mother on the right. I don't know. I can't quite tell. Is that a white dress you have on, Mom?
No, it's a tan, what they used to call like a shift back in
Ah,
between 1968 and 1970. Yeah, so it's just a dress with a big zipper down the front. And we were
okay. Height of that.
standing in the driveway at my mom's house. Hmm.
That's right. And that is on Fifth Avenue in
Yeah.
Los Angeles. That's the house my grandmother lived in when I was born, so I recognize it. The top
Mhm.
photo is me, my mom, me, and my grandmother in 2016. My grandmother at that time was 93, almost 94 years old. We were in Atlanta, Georgia, celebrating our sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. And my grandmother had reached by that time 75 years of membership in that organization, which is dedicated to sisterhood, scholarship, and service to all mankind. quite an accomplishment to be a member of anything for 75 years.
Mhm.
And so we went to Atlanta. That was one of our family goals to get her to Atlanta and celebrate that milestone. And I'm going to keep this mood today very loving and caring, but also I have to note that this is the last time that I saw my grandmother on Earth was in Atlanta in 2016.
Mhm.
So that means a lot to me that we had that experience. And then finally, the picture at the bottom was sometime before 2016. And we were, I think we were using FaceTime. I don't know if Zoom was a thing then, but we were
Mhm.
talking. It was probably her birthday, which is in August, August 20th. And I know that she was fascinated by the technology that allowed us to be able to talk because she would have been in Los Angeles. I would have been in Kansas City. She certainly had a dementia diagnosis by then, but
Mhm.
that was a good day. She was having a good day
Right.
and she was able to wave at me and we had a conversation. So thank you for indulging that. I'm going to take these pictures down for now so that we can have a conversation with my mom. And I will just start, Mom, if you would tell us. So you are a nurse. You were a nurse for since 1971 when you earned your bachelor's degree.
Mhm.
A nurse then, a nurse forever, right?
Yes.
Tell us about how you came to become a nurse professionally.
Okay, professionally, after I graduated, well, actually, before I graduated from Dillard University, my university offered an opportunity for me to go to Harlem Hospital in New York and work as a student nurse. That was fascinating. It was open to all 26 of us in that class, but two of us went. And it was a really special experience because Harlem Hospital is right in the heart of Harlem on 125th and Lenox, and it was practically brand new. This is in the summer of 1970, right? Okay, that was my almost graduation experience. Prior to that, in my childhood, I always wanted to take care of something, mostly baby dolls, puppies. When we went skating or bike riding, if somebody slipped and fell or scraped something, I would be the one to run and get the cotton ball and the cleaner to, so you can get back up and start riding again. Don't complain. I want people to be healthy, not sick. And I had that concept all the way from early childhood. I wish I had known my maternal grandfather because he was a family practice physician and his office was attached to the place where we lived, and there was a secret entry into that office, but he died before I was born. I just knew the story because we lived at that house. And at the time that I was growing up, there was another healthcare professional in there, a dentist. So I would peek through the keyhole to see if I could see people. Only thing I could see is people walking by. But that was my grandfather's access to come into what we call the big house. Also, on those same grounds, my grandmother was a business owner and she owned a funeral home and an ambulance and hearse, a flower shop, and trucks. So I was always the one that was trying to nurture the green plants. She told me the old plants were going to die out, so I couldn't fix those. But anyway, that was my childhood. I loved going to school. I went to kindergarten all the way up until 10th grade in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and I never missed a day of school. Perfect attendance. When I moved to Los Angeles in the middle of a semester because I missed my mom who had remarried and relocated here, went to the high school in the corner from my house in Los Angeles, tried to enroll myself in school. The lady said, "You have to come back in February." This is in January. I said, "No, ma'am." And she said, "Your grades are final from where you came. So you have a month before you need to come to school." I said, "I can't miss school. I never missed a day of school. I had my own transcript." She looked at it and saw it was true. She said, "I have something I'm going to have you help me do." And she let me come there every day and report to her and to the band room where I played the flute. So that goes on to health too, because you have to be healthy to play in the band. Okay. You have to you have to practice marching. You have to be able to breathe. You have to be able to come to school on a regular basis so that you can know how to play what the songs are. So I've had a journey to health all of my life. And
Absolutely.
that's what I decided to choose a career in nursing. Dillard University is historically Black college university category. So I have two family members, my aunt and my uncle, my mother's siblings that attended Dillard University. So I wanted to continue with that legacy.
What a
Okay.
legacy.
Mhm,
Yeah, I love, thank you for talking about my great grandfather and his
mhm,
medical practice. And my aunt, who went to Dillard, is also a social worker like
mhm.
me. And so I think we were sort of destined to be in this role. I want to shift to a story that you told me about Dillard University, especially after 2008, when Graham was
Okay.
diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease.
Mhm,
And in our family, for I think most of our family, it has been that we go to college after high school.
mhm.
It has been a promise from our ancestors to
A
say
legacy.
everybody's
Mhm,
going to college. So you, of course, knew you were going to go to college, and you decided to be a nurse, especially based on that story you told us. No one could have expected, or we didn't prepare for one day having a dementia diagnosis in
mhm.
your mother, my grandmother. We didn't expect that, even though I worked for the Alzheimer's Association
Right.
at the time. But anyway, back to the story. One of my favorite stories that you have told me and others is that our my grandmother, your mother, made a really smart investment in sending you to college and sending you to nursing school. She essentially paid for you to become a nurse, and it worked out for her because she ended up having a diagnosis of dementia, and she had her own personal nurse to tend
Mhm.
to her throughout that diagnosis. And so, tell us about how your college education prepared you to care professionally for your mother, but also personally.
Okay, our very first experience at Dillard University as freshmen, because we had no clinical skills. Okay, no clinical skills was for our instructors, professors to send us. The rotation was at what they called a nursing home with senior citizens, where we didn't have nursing theories way back then. That was what 57 years ago. So there are lots of nursing theories and nursing practice theories now, but we had a book called by the name of Psychodynamic Nursing by Irene Beelan. Our professors called it our Bible. It was protocol about how to interview, how to assess, how subjectively, objectively, and make an assessment plan and carry through with what was next. They taught us not to ask yes or no questions. They gave us some skills about how to get information from anybody, particularly the senior citizens, so that we would just not get a yes or a no. So that was a skill that kind of got us started. The whole freshman year, in addition to university courses like chemistry, um, physical education, religion, that's the spiritual part of it. What else? Oh, and of course, the nursing class and a math class. Okay. From that, we had to take pharmacology. And so all of these programs that we participated in blended to lead us to a career on the bachelor's level of nursing. Okay.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
What would you tell someone? I know that quite a few folks who are either with us on the webinar live today or who may watch in the future, they're here because they have gotten a diagnosis from
Okay.
a primary care physician. They've gone to a memory clinic, they've recognized some signs in themselves or a loved one or whatever the case may be. And so
Mhm.
you have this really, I think, special combination. I'm biased, but you have this special combination of professional expertise and, of course, deep love for your parents. So, as a professional and personal caregiver, what advice would you give to someone who is new to or even deeper into this journey of being a caregiver?
This journey with the focus on my mom was a challenge, but my intent was to go into it with a fearless commitment to giving care to her. Caregivers were once referred to as caretakers. The concept has kind of switched from caregiver to care partner to care planner. and all kinds of so I would say to go in with a full diagnosis, with safety in mind, compassion in mind, communication, not making assumptions. And one of my favorite things is observation and readiness, and being a, what's my term? Therapeutic liar.
Did you all hear a mother and a nurse just say on video that you should tell lies? I must hear more about this.
Okay, so the concept of we have a tendency to be honest with people about everything, but when you have a diagnosis of any kind of dementia, you have to kind of speak in the presence and say what is or fudge what is. And I can give several examples of what my mom did, including in church and talking about the pastor out loud. I can't hear anything he's saying. Who is he? All of that. So it's lots of kind of fun anecdotes to share about that. Once my mother went to large university's dementia care program that was absolutely excellent. With that came a support group. With the support group came also students in that university's advanced degrees programs, and that included a woman who was working on her Psych D. So my mom's given me all kinds of challenges that I had never, I'm a clinician, I'm the daughter and all that, so I didn't know what to do with some of these things. So, for example, my mom did not want to go. I'd say we have to go to see Dr. Farrell. Well, I don't want to see him. He thinks I'm crazy, all of that. So she said, I said, so what do I do when she refuses to go places like that with me that are important? So she said, let's role play. I said, so she said, I'm going to be me and the therapist, and you be Grace. So I said, I don't want to go to that old doctor. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He thinks I'm crazy, and I just don't want to go. So she said to me, Peggy, here's what you say to her. Don't tell her you're going to the doctor. When she says, where am I going? You're going to say, you're going with me. It was as simple as that. You're going with me. She didn't say, well, where are you going? She didn't take it to that level. She just said, you're going with me. So I got her to go. And that worked from that point on. That came from the therapist in the support program. So that's what, that's
Yeah.
another example. That wasn't a lie because she was going with me, but she didn't extend it to where are we going. And of course, when we went, we saw her practitioners in the team. She was satisfied with all of that, and then it was always followed by a treat.
Oh, treats are wonderful.
Yes, yes.
I
Mhm.
want to shift a little bit because you spent, as I know, 8 years caring for my grandmother wonderfully,
Mhm.
amazingly. I mean, I never would have wished for her to get a diagnosis of Alzheimer's, but she was in the very best hands,
Yes.
I can say. And so you did that for 8 years, which is right about an average time that someone lives with a dementia diagnosis from time
Right.
of diagnosis. And she was 85
Yeah.
when we started noticing some of those warning signs, and she lived to be 94,
Mhm.
so a little more than 8 years, in
Uh-huh.
fact. And you retired to take care of her, and you took care of her diligently and responsibly for those 8 years. And then she transitioned, and so she is now
Mhm.
our angel. And you
Mhm.
got a bit of a break, which I'm grateful for because that meant you and I got to travel a lot and do fun things. But then in the last year or so, you notice some of the same things happening in your friend.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you, like I think any wonderful nurse and person would do, you said, oh, friend, I'm going to take care of you. And that
Mhm.
had to be, I mean, you had this toolkit. You had these 8 years of having taken care of your mother. But now your friend is in need. Your friend who lives around the corner and doesn't have any local family, and
Mhm.
clearly is showing these signs of what we recognize as dementia, most likely Alzheimer's disease. How do you
Mhm.
go from, oh, I'm finished with that journey to, okay, I guess I'll pick it back up again?
Well, I had some experience with my mom, and although this friend of mine is my age peer, I knew more about how to respond to what I saw and what we experienced as a care partner for family member with dementia. So some of the things are very similar, and then I was really very concerned because she's my friend. Her sister was in my wedding. You know, we're close. We all went to the same university. So, but I was very concerned because I'm her age peer. So some of the things that she was experiencing, I could share that I was experiencing them too, and still continue. So she does have a diagnosis of Alzheimer's, and she's taking, prescribed medication and seeing her physician on a very regular basis. But with the experience that I had handling my mom or managing my mom's care, gave me some insight about this one, kind of in a concerning way, because we kind of parallel each other. So. Yeah, and so anyway, we check on her. She lives alone. You know, some decisions have to be made. She has a sister that lives in Chicago that comes on a pretty regular basis, but when she's gone, what's going to happen? Mhm.
Yeah, you're in place, and
Uh-huh.
what a gift that is. And I know
Yeah.
that for both my grand and for our family friend, driving has been a real
Oh, yes.
driver of this
Yes.
caregiving experience. Can you talk about what that's been like?
Okay, she's still in possession. You said driving, right?
Right, driving.
Okay, she's still in possession of her automobile. Her directions for going places are kind of different,
Yeah.
not routine, out of the way. Are you sure? One time she insisted on driving, and I caved into that. But we went toward the ocean, the end of the United States toward the ocean, rather than going east to inland area where we were going to take her grocery shopping. Okay, so we got to the venue, walked around in there for about, because she said, like, don't follow me, I know what I need to do. We walked around in there for anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour, and she had nothing in her basket. Okay, so no list. So anyway, when I circled back, I was kind of watching her the whole time. When I circled back to meet up with her, I said, let's get some things in your basket. So she said, I don't know what I need. I don't know. And I said, well, I know about some things that you mentioned. So let's just do that. But so it's been a challenge because she's an age peer. She has a doctorate in nursing. She was the director of a community college. And she's never said anything, but I think that she probably worked for as long as she could without having this be um, observed or an issue at her workplace.
That underscores something
Mhm.
I think we don't pay as much attention to. We know, of course, after, Dr. Alzheimer first described Alzheimer's 120 years ago, we know that
Mhm.
Alzheimer's is what I call an equal opportunity disease.
Exactly.
It affects all kinds of people from all kinds of situations. And here you told the story of two women, both who
Mhm.
had postgraduate degrees, both who had education and leadership roles, both who had, I think it's fair to say, access to whatever healthcare they needed at any time that
Mhm.
they needed it. And yet they both got this diagnosis.
Mhm.
Um, and we don't know all the factors that contributed to that. We do know that they are both Black women, and that
Mhm.
probably is
It's a
significant.
factor. Mhm.
We have one person who was a doctor of nursing, which is like the ultimate nurse, right? To be a
Right.
doctor of nursing.
Right.
We had
That's.
someone who birthed a child who became a master of nursing. And both of these women got Alzheimer's disease. And I'm not saying that, well, I'm saying it a little bit to brag, but I'm also saying it to underscore that um, we've got to be proactive about our health. We've got to go
Mhm.
to our doctor's appointments. We have got to ask for help. We have got to get care. We have got to learn everything I can. All of you, I'm preaching to the choir because you're here on this weekly webinar. You have figured out how to find a resource for your health.
Mhm.
My wish would be for Alzheimer's not to affect anybody at all, even if that means I'd have to go find another job. So I don't want anybody to have Alzheimer's disease, but I do want
Mhm.
people to know that there is so much help available. you do not have to do this alone. It affects every corner, every fabric of our society. And I'm so grateful to my mom for sharing her story. She could tell you a million more things, but I want
Right.
to ask you two final questions, Mom,
Okay.
presenter. And one is I want you to say a bit, if you would, about self care. It's so important for caregivers to care for themselves. So I'd love for you to share something about how you took care of yourself when you were deep into caring for my grandmother, when you had the break after she passed away, and how you're continuing to make sure you're in good shape physically, mentally, emotionally, all of that to take care of our friend. That's question one. And if you can't remember all that, I'll repeat it. But
Okay.
question two will probably wrap us up is, and you and I talked about this earlier, so this is going to be a beautiful story, is
Mhm.
if you would talk about what that moment of lucidity that Gran had, especially around Uncle Bob.
Okay.
Um, and you know what I mean. I'll let you tell
Yes,
the
I
story.
do.
If you would
Yeah.
answer those two questions, that would be great.
Okay, so as far as self-care is concerned, I my career with LA Unified School District, or my entire career, was about to come to an end because I was eligible for retirement, and I prayed and I said, please send me some help. So on August 20th, 2008, no, 2010,
Mhm.
2010, a U-Haul truck pulled up in front of my mom's house with a young man, I should say, a young man, a dog, and a girl. Came to the door, rang the doorbell. It was my nephew, who was a recent graduate of Morehouse College in Atlanta. And he said, hey, Auntie Peggy, I'm here to help you take care of Gran. This is in the school year 2010, 2011. I retired in 2011. He said, I'm not going to have a job. Gran is going to be my job. So the dog, my mother loves dogs, just like I did. She had a dog, a brand new dog, and she couldn't take care of a dog by herself, but the dog was loving. She didn't rub him; she would pat him, and the dog didn't complain. It was always cuddling up with her. So
Also,
he
the dog was
came.
a girl, but she
The
didn't
dog was
care.
a,
She
so
called him a him.
she called all pets hymns. I
Yeah,
mean males. Yeah. So
yeah.
anyway, so she had the dog, the grandson. And the girl was just a tag along. She was from Los Angeles and she hitched a ride with my nephew. She went to Spelman College, which is an HBCU for women, the sister school to the other one. And so she just rode along. So then when she said, here's another gift. She said, I'm going to call my mom to come and pick me up. So then I said, oh, and she said, yeah. And she had on our sorority colors. The young lady did. So she's a member of our sorority, and so it's her mom. So then I said, what's your mom's name? And she said, Julie Dash. And Julie Dash is a Oscar winner. Come on, so anyway, all those good little things that happen. Um, with the all of this was nurturing to me to have these connections and to have my nephew come
So
and
your
teach
self care
me.
was to say to someone
Was
else, "Your turn.
I need some help?
I
Yes,
need
right,
help." Yes.
right. Okay, so we'll fast forward to Uncle Bob. Okay,
Okay.
Uncle Bob is my brother, my oldest brother. I have two brothers. So Uncle Bob had liver disease, and he let us know that he had a prognosis of fatal. All right, and this was in what year was that? That was in
2015.
2015. Yeah, September of 2015. Okay, which was a year and 4 months before my mom transitioned. So anyway, he gets told us his prognosis and he transitioned almost exactly when the people at the Houston, at that wonderful medical center in Houston, with hospice care and compassion. And one of the things that I had to do and was able to do because my nephew was in place living with my mom full time, I got to leave Los Angeles and go to Houston the last month of his life to be with him. Meanwhile, my mom's still full-blown Alzheimer's. My brother dies in January of 2016. My mom transitioned in December of 2016. 11 months later? Went back to Julie, the Psych D student, the psychologist, and said, Julie, she was about to let me fly. She said, you know, you're gonna be good, you know, and her length of service was ending too, because she's getting ready to get her PhD. I mean her Psych D. So she had to let me go. I said, I have one more thing I need to have you help me process. And it's that my brother died. And my mother, what do I say to my mom about that? So she said, what do you want to say? And I said, I don't know. I don't know how she's going to respond. You know, her answer was, don't tell her. You know, because she's looking out for how I'm going to feel about how my mom feels. Okay, so fast forward to my brother died in January. Fast forward to May, Mother's Day. His wife, my sweet sister-in-law, sent, and I don't mean this sarcastically, she's just, I mean, she's loads of fun and endearing. She sent my mom a Mother's Day card and she said, Happy Mother's Day, Grace Grand, from Cassandra, Brenton, their son, and your son, Bob, in heaven. And my mother said, Is Robert in heaven? And I said, Yes. You know what she said? That's a nice place to be. That is a nice place to be. And that was all. That was all, you know, that was the end of it. So when I reported back to Julie about the Psych D student about how that came out, she said, good, that worked out. And my mom did transitioned in December, 5 months later, no, 6 months later after that. So that's
And
Kelly asked me to share you know, so the joy and blessing of that is that she said what she said, and it made me feel good to know that she felt that heaven is a good place to be. So hopefully that's where she is joining him. Mhm.
right. And they probably asked each other, what are you doing here when
Right,
they
why you,
reunited?
how long you been here?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Thank you, Mom, so
Yes.
much
You're welcome.
for sharing
I'm gonna,
our
I want to
family story.
interject something in here.
Please do.
I'm going to
Yeah.
violate the posting because I want to say something in that my wife was a career nurse also.
Oh, okay.
The
Mr.
Marine
Hostess.
Corps, if you're familiar with the military, Marine Corps has a saying that once a Marine, always a
Always a
Marine.
Marine. Mm-hmm.
I believe your witness today confirms what I've always believed about nurses. Once a nurse,
Always.
always a nurse. I don't care as long as you breathe, you're going to have empathy and caring for other people. And that's a special trait, Peggy, that I want to
Thank you
commend you
so
for.
much, Mr. Holt, because that is really endearing. And I want you to know my father was a Marine. So
Oh, okay. You know what I'm talking
is
about.
this the song? I remember from the halls of
You got it.
Montes,
Tripoli.
the shores of Tripoli. He sang
Uh,
that
uh,
song to me when I was a little girl because I would go in the room, he would be in the bed, he liked to sleep. And I would go in the bed and I would raise, he would be on his back, stretched out sleep, especially in the summertime or in rainy weather because he was a construction worker and they could not work when the Louisiana weather was terrible. So he would
you and
take
I
nap.
could talk a long, long time. I
Right.
can tell that.
So I would open his eyelids
There you
like
go.
this, Daddy, you sleeping like that, and then he would start singing that song, and I learned the words. So that was very endearing. So thank you for sharing with me. I
I
had a
love
dream
this.
of going military myself, but that didn't happen. So
Oh my goodness. All right. Well,
mhm.
I don't want to cut this off, but I do want to say thank you to my mom. Thank you for all of you for being here. I'm looking in the chat. I didn't see any questions, but you're welcome to use the chat or unmute yourselves. But before we stop for the day, I have one more slide to share.
Okay.
So I'm going to put this back up on the screen and I'm going to ask you all to indulge. Zoom is not good about congregate singing. So I'm not going to ask you to sing, but I will ask you if you know how to use the reaction button. I will ask you to join in wishing my mom a very happy birthday today. Today is my mom's 76th birthday.
Yeah.
And what a gift she has given me in being on the weekly webinar and sharing our family story. Thank you so much. Oh, I see some comments in the chat. Thank you. I'll make sure, Mom, you watch those. So just pretend we're all singing happy birthday. I'd say let's do it, but it's not going to sound good. So everybody is wishing you a happy 76th birthday. This year is fun because Mom was born in 49 and she's 76, and I was born in 76 and I'm 49. So play the lottery with those numbers, maybe.
That's some
Great.
palindrome stuff. Yeah.
So those are your lucky numbers for today. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for your kind comments in the chat. We really wanted to have a special caregiver story for November because of the designation of it as Caregiver Month and Alzheimer's Month, although of course we know Alzheimer's is every day. So I am going to take this slide down and wrap us up by saying we will be off next week for the Thanksgiving holiday. We will not have a webinar as much as I would love to, and I think some of you might love to. We are going to recognize that people will be eating turkey and maybe watching a little football, wink, wink. So we will not have a webinar next week, but and I thought that today was going to be a last webinar of the year, but we actually have 2 more webinars scheduled. We had 2 speakers who just really wanted to join us. So we will be back on December 4th with my colleague, Bria Barch, who is going to talk about the FAST study, which is about the S in FAST stands for stroke. So she's going to talk about stroke, brain health, and she'll be on December 4th. And then on December 11th, we will have a representative. Her first name is Kirsten, and forgive me, I can't remember her last name, but she is from the Social Security office. And I know that's been a hot topic in the news lately. And she is going to come and tell us what's going on with Social Security. It's good timing for that because that December 11th is around the time of the year that people start to get their, I used to know what it was called, but your award letter, that's what it is.
Yeah,
award letter. You get your letter from Social Security in December that tells you how much money you're going to have coming in from Social Security in the next year. And so Kirsten is going to talk with us about some strategies for how to manage that. And I'm sure she will be able to give us some insight on what Social Security benefits might be important for those of us managing brain health issues in ourselves or a loved one. So next week, take a break. We will send a newsletter out on Monday, so you'll get that. And then we'll be back with the newsletter on the following week, the webinar on the 4th, again on the 11th. And then we will also take another break on December 18th and 25th. And for January 1st, and then it'll be 2026. Wow. And we've got some great things lined up for then. So thank you all. Thank you, Mom. You're the best. I owe you everything. I wouldn't be here without you. So thank you. Thank you all of you for joining the webinar today. I will get this uploaded as soon as possible. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving. We wish you wonderful things, all of us at the KUAVRC. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, Kelly.
Did you see all of the